Okay, so for the first question, write 3 equivalent fractions for each fraction. What is an equivalent fraction?
Fraction that's the same.
Fractions that's the same. So 3/8 or 3/8, how can we make this an equivalent fraction? What's one way to do this? The easiest possible way. Multiply it by 2. Good. So multiply that by 2, multiply that by 2. Remember what you do to the top, do to the bottom. So 3 times 2 is 6. 8 times 2 is 16. What else can I do? So there's one equivalent fraction. Multiply it by 3. So if you took 3 times 3, you got 9. And then 3 times 8, 24, right? And give me one more equivalent fraction. Multiply it by 4, correct. So if you multiply it by 4, you have 12 over 32. So if we use that same strategy for the next one, what will our answers look like for 1/6? 2 over 12, 3 over 18. Correct. So let's apply that same thinking to the last one. What can we do to get an equivalent fraction for 7 over 10? Go ahead. 14 over 20. 21 over 30. 28 over 40. I also saw some of you multiply this by 10, 100, and 1,000. So you could have also had answers that look this. 70 over 100, 700 over 1,000, 7,000 over 10,000. In this way, it will help you with other parts of our fraction and decimal. So for question 2, it's asking us to write it in simplest form. So the first one is 30 over 50. Simplest form means making it the smallest possible equivalent fraction. So what can I do in 2a to make that in simplest form? Divide the numerator and the denominator by 10. Remember, what you do to the top, you got to do to the bottom. So it's 3 over 5. You cannot divide 3 over 5 anymore. And if you were to put this on a calculator, you would see that 30 divided by 50 equals 0.6. 3 divided by 5 equals 0.6. So that's how you can confirm that they are equivalent. What about for B? B is a little trickier. How can I make that fraction in the lowest possible term? Divide the numerator and the denominator by 7. That is correct, which gives you an answer of 4 over 7. So now, if you're not sure if that answer is correct, grab your calculator. 28 divided by 49 gives you decimal 5714, something very long. 4 divided by 7 gives you the exact same long answer. So that's one way to confirm your answers. Number 3 is write each mixed number as an improper fraction. So how can I do that? How do I make this an improper fraction? So you take the numerator, multiply it by the whole number, so 9 times 1 equals 9, and add it to the numerator, so denominator times whole number plus numerator, and that equals 13, for a grand total of 13 over 9. What about the next one? 3 and 6/7. What will be the improper fraction for 3 and 6/7? Yes, I'm too. 27 over 7. Because you take 7 times 3 equals 21 plus 6. which equals 27. Number 4, write each improper fraction as a mixed number. So now it's going backwards. The first one. 5 and 2 over 3. And to check that, if you took 3 times 5, that gives you 15, plus 2 is 17. What about 4b? Come on. 3 holes, 2 over 9. 9 times 3, 27. Order the numbers in each set from least to greatest, show your work. So, which number goes first in 5a? Which is the smallest number? 4 over 5. What's the next number in line? Sorry? 1 whole and 2 fifths. Which leaves 17 tenths as the last one. So now it says to show your work though. What did you need to do to show your work for this question right here? How could you make sure you've put them in the right order? Because they all have different denominators. What do you need to do for that one? So what denominator will they all be? Is that a 10? So to change 4 fifths to a number out of 10, what do we need to do to 4 fifths to make it out of 10? By 2. So that makes it 8 over 10. What about 1 and 2 fifths? What can we do with that number? There are 2 things we need to do to this number. Make it improper first. So 1 and 2 fifths is how much as an improper fraction? How much is it out of 5 though? How many fifths is 1 and 2 fifths? 1 and 2 fifths. If I had to make this an improper fraction, remember you take denominator multiplied by the whole number plus the numerator. 5 times 1 plus 2, 7. So now you have 7 fifths. And you need to make it out of 10. What's my numerator then? If it's 7 fifths, turning into tenths would be 14. So here's the first one. You said 8 tenths was the smallest one. 14 tenths. And then the last one was 17 tenths. So now you know that you've done it right, because you made all the denominators the same and you've put them in order. 8 is smaller than 14, which is smaller than 17. The next question, same thing applies. We have 1 and 7/12, 5 sixths, and a third. What should we do for this question? Don't give me the answer, tell me what to do.
You have to make all the denominators the same.
So what denominator can we use for these 3 numbers?
12.
12. The first one, it stays the same. But what can we do to the first one to make this a little bit easier?
Changing it to an improper fraction.
And what would that equal?
19 over 12.
This is 19 over 12. Because you want it as an improper fraction for this question. What about 5 over 6? It needs to equal 12. How do we get from 5 sixths to 12ths? Multiply by 2 is correct. Gives you an answer of 10 over 12. And then you have 1/3. And you need to get to 12ths. How do we get from 1/3 to 12ths? Multiply by 4. 4 times 1 is 4. So now, are we able to tell which is the smallest fraction? Which one's the bigger fraction? What order will they go? What's the order? Zen.
1 over 3, 5 over 6 is 7 over 12.
and 1 and 7/12. So we're using the original answers to give us our final answer. But 1/3 is 4/12, which is smaller than 10/12, which is smaller than 19/12. There are 54 pieces of ribbons. Mina used 5/6 of it, and Rema used 4/9 of it. Who used more ribbon pieces, and how much did she use? Sorry. So what do? They each have 54 ribbons, and Mina used 5/6. So how much did she use?
For the first Nina, you have to do 6 times 9 to make the denominator 54.
Okay, so 5/6 is what she used. And you need to make the denominator 54, right? That's the total pieces. So you multiply this by 9,
Yeah.
and then the top by 9, right?
Yeah.
Gives you
45 over 54.
45. So what did you do the same strategy for Rema?
Yeah.
So 4/9 equals over 54. So what would you multiply by?
Times 6.
Multiply by 6. So she used 24. So there you go. So you could say Mina used more. How much more did she use? How many more pieces did she use?
21.
To get that answer, you go 45 subtracted by 24 is 21 more pieces. Okay. So question number 7, Amrita sold 11/6 pies. Pan sold 1 7/8 pies. Cora sold 9/4 pies. How many pies were sold altogether? Who sold the most? And who sold the least amount? So what was one strategy you guys used to do this? Because as you can tell, the fractions are not consistent here. For a couple of reasons they're not consistent. What would you do first?
Change the denominator to the number.
So, but before you do that, you want to either make them all improper or proper. I'm leaving that up to you. If you want my advice, turn them all into improper fractions. Because you only have to change one into an improper fraction. So you would have 11/6. What would 1 7/8 be improper? 8 times 1 plus 7 is 15/8. And the last one is 9/4. So now that you have all those numbers figured out, now you can find a common denominator. What is a common denominator for these three numbers? Our lowest common multiple. That's another way to say it. What would it be? Of 6, 8, and 4. 24 is a good number. I like it. So let's take 11/6, and it has to equal out of 24. To get 6 times a number is 24, that number is 4. So 11 times 4 is 44. So for 15/8, to make that out of 24, what do we need to multiply by to get that answer? 8 times a number, 3. Good. So times 3 is 45. And now you have 9/4. To get that to be out of 24, you would need to multiply it by 4 times the number is 24. That number is 6. Multiply this by 6 equals 54. So now automatically you're able to tell me who has sold the most pies. And that person would be Cora. So Cora has the most pies. Who has the least amount of pies sold? Amrita has the least. Now the next question is, or the next part of it, or the first part, sorry, how many pies were sold altogether? So now I have three answers here, and I'm going to move them over here. 44 over 24, 45 over 24, 54 over 24. That's how much they each sold. It's asking us how much they sold altogether. What do we do with these numbers? Add them up. So when you add them up, you know that the denominator stays the same because it is the same. So you would add 44 plus 45, which gives you 89. And then 89 plus 54 is 139. I think so. 143. So that's how many pies, slices were sold, 143. How many pies is that in total though? And how can I figure that out? Because I want to know the total amount of pies. Rita? You have to change this back into a mixed fraction now. So now there's another step that has to come back. Do we know how to figure this one out? How to change this into a mixed fraction? Zan, give me your idea.
523 over 24.
Sorry?
523 over 24.
Okay, so to do this, if you take 143 divided by 24, you'll see that there's the number 5 there. 5 point something. That tells us that it goes in 5 full times. So five pies, if they had 24 slices, 5 times 24, was 120 pieces, leaving us with 23 over 24. So that's how much pie they sold. So they almost sold 6 whole pies. Number 8, it says convert the following. It doesn't tell you what to convert it to, but the first one is decimal form. So what do you think it wants you to convert it to? What do you think?
Fractions?
Fractions. And what's the fraction going to be for decimal 94? 94 over 100 is an answer you can give me. Is there another answer you can give me for this one? 94 over 100. Anything you notice about this fraction that you saw at the beginning of the practice test? What can we do to this fraction?
140 over 1.
Sorry?
140 over 1.
Can you make it bigger? Can you make it smaller?
Let's do the 47 over 50.
47 over 50. That's reducing the fraction, and I believe that's as low as it can go. Okay. What about 4/5? What is my decimal going to look like?
0.8.
It's going to be 0.8. 250 meters is equal to how many kilometers? 0.25. So remember, for kilometers, if you want to convert meters to kilometers, you need to divide it by 1,000. So you would take the 250, the decimals here. There are 3 zeros in 1,000. You'd move the decimal 1, 2, 3, and that's why you have 0.25. What about 16 over 10? What would the decimal for this be? This is an improper fraction. What would my decimal look like? 16 tenths. It's 1.6. And if you had to use money as an example, if you had 16 dimes, you would have $1.60. 3.7 kilometers. How many meters would that be? Yep. Sorry? 37 meters?
3,700.
37, so 3,700? Yeah. 3,700. And in kilometers, to get kilometers to meters, you have to multiply by 1,000. So when you multiply by 1,000, 1, 2, 3, and you put the zeros there to give you 3,700. The last one, right as a decimal, you have 8 tenths, 4 hundredths. What does my decimal look like? 0.84 is correct. What about the next one? 610 7 hundredths. What does my answer look like in decimal form? Yeah. 6.07. What about 25 over 1,000? What will that be in decimal form? 0.025. And lastly, 4 over 25 or 4/25. What will my decimal look like for this one? Yeah. 0.04 is incorrect. 0.16. And for this one, if you took 4 over 25, remember decimals are out of 100. So 25 times 4 is 100, 4 times 4 is 16. That's why that answer is 0.16.